All right, Northcentral Connected, episode 28.
Wow.
I did the counting.
Wow.
So yeah, we need to start titling these.
We struggle enough with the theme. Much less title. We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, maybe next
Maybe
week.
when the royalties start
next
coming
month,
in.
yeah. September, halfway through. So we're getting through, and yeah, it's been crazy summer, crazy fall, everything. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Our CEO and General Manager, Kevin Doddridge, to keep you updated.
Hello, everyone.
Our
We're going to do introductions.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess we can do the introduction. Yeah, it's fine. Safety Director and Loss Control Manager, J.D. Cox.
Good to be here.
Our Director of Marketing and Economic Development, Michael Bellapani.
Hey.
And I'm your Media Specialist, Justin Jaggers. And now we will throw it to you.
Okay, throw it to me. September's been a good month. I mean, I think when you talk about this is a 28th episode that the consistency has been the inconsistency in them, and because we've had storms, we've had COVID, so everything's just been really fluid for the last 28 episodes, I guess you could say. But September's going real well. We're looking forward to October. I believe October is going to be Public Power Month, and also National Co-op Month, which it's great that those things coincide, and look forward to celebrating that. We think the public power model is incredibly strong, and it is exemplified through the relationship that we had at TVA, and that what it boils down to is that we're here to serve the public. We're not here to serve a stockholder or people that are taking funds away from us out of the area. We're locally owned. We're locally managed, we're locally governed, and I think that's what makes our model so successful. And in small ways, you can see it exemplified when we have, extreme weather, and then the power doesn't go off, and the reliability stays up, because our motive is to keep the power on and satisfy the general public and our member. So look forward to celebrating that in October. But some things aren't going as well as others. It's been a difficult month. We are starting to slowly see signs of supply chain issues, and we're going to communicate this a little bit more formally to our builders and developers. But what that means, very simply, is, in a nutshell, is some of the materials that we take for granted that we have to use aren't getting here as quickly as we would like them to. We're seeing longer delivery dates. An example will be the standard bucket truck that you see us working from every day. We need to plan on getting one of those almost 80 weeks in advance now. We're having difficulty when our equipment breaks down finding replacement parts. We're having difficulty finding just the material that you see out that helps distribute power to your home, whether it be transformer, the conductor on the poles themselves. We have just a steady supply chain issue right now. And I use this phrase a lot of time, we're managing it. And there's no silver bullet that's going to correct it, but we manage it, make sure that we're still we like to maintain a significant storm inventory. In the event that we have a storm here, we've got the materials, supplies, and everything that we need. But our warehousing staff and engineering operations do a great job of doing this, but it's a balancing act right now, trying to make sure that we're bringing the necessary equipment that we need, and trying to anticipate far enough ahead to where we can get it.
Yeah, Kevin, it's only compounded. You look at the effects of the pandemic and then labor constraints, and then you throw in a storm, the scope of Hurricane Ida.
Absolutely.
I was visiting with a vendor last week who told me that one of his utilities had ordered 30,000 connectors a week for as long as he could send them. I mean, so thinking about the strain that puts on the supply chain just when we're trying to do everyday business.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to look back to some of the weather that we had late last summer with the multiple hurricanes. Then we had ice storms in South Mississippi that they had never seen before. Then they were followed up by windstorms and thunderstorms. You install a standard wooden pole that you see on the side of the road. You typically hope that pole is going to last you anywhere from 30 to 40, even longer, years if treated correctly. We had co-ops in South Mississippi that were installing poles and had to go out there and change that pole out 24 to 48 hours later just because of the extreme weather that we had. So you got the supply chain taking a pretty good bump because of COVID, last summer's hurricanes, this winter and spring's ice storm, and we're right back in hurricane season. And I've talked to people that order material for these places, and they're not hoarding anything, but they're like you said, it seems like they're going to need this stuff perpetually for a while. So they're trying to bring in as much as they can, keep that going, which, puts a big squeeze on everything. It's almost like the initial toilet paper rush of the pandemic, just at a much greater magnitude. But to try to keep our membership and all of y'all at ease, we're trying to manage that. It is complicated. It is a challenge, but we're going to make sure that we get the equipment running, we keep it running. We got the material here, and if we run short of material in a storm or something like that, we'll go to other utilities and see if we can get it from them. So, but for you builders and developers, things may be a little bit slower, and I'm sure you're seeing that with your contractors and subs, and we just may have to be added to that list a little bit to where we're not going to be quite as prompt as we hope to be, and hopefully we'll get this corrected here pretty soon. The storm itself, the one that we're working right now, is Ida. We got crews outside of Baton Rouge, and it's a complicated time to do storm work. You've got the concern about the pandemic. You've got the concern about the working conditions. Their safety, all in all. We're looking forward to bringing some back, but they've been working in some pretty tough conditions down there from a safety standpoint and a health standpoint. I don't know, JD, you've probably done some of that work yourself.
Absolutely. But the thing about it is one of the greatest things that I believe cooperatives do is we help one another out, whether it's with material and supply chain issues, as you were talking about, but certainly when it comes to mutual aid, when storms and things like that happen. Just the ability to know that you can get some forces together pretty quickly to get down there when you need that help.
Cooperative principle number 6.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Cooperation among cooperatives. Absolutely. But we sent a crew down to Baton Rouge to help out. I think some of the estimates that we got where they had about 1,400 or 1,500 poles down. And as you can imagine in that area, of the country, there's already a lot of low-lying areas, a lot of water just in general. But you add in, a hurricane coming through, and it just intensifies that. So rather than walking through a couple of feet of water maybe to get to access some of these lines and equipment, you'll see a lot of pictures coming out of that area now where our guys are literally down there in chest water deep, canals and things like that. So because of the nature of work that we do, they're already in heavy boots, blue jeans, carrying in a lot of heavy equipment, the tools and stuff that we use to get everything back the way it needs to be. Those tools are heavy as well.
And that's how I was told when we were working in Jeff Davis Parish several years ago, where if you're working in waist, chest deep water, and you drop tools or a chainsaw, they're gone.
They're history.
Yeah, they're gone.
I mean, it's just like being down there on the beach or something, and a wave hits you, and you got a pair of sunglasses on. You can forget it. It's pretty much the same down there. But there are a lot of challenges down there as well. Anytime there's a large outage situation, disaster like that, you think about all the water pumping stations that are down. You think about all the water treatment plants that are down. You think about all the animals and things that have been displaced, all of the garbage. So in addition to, what our construction crews do on an everyday basis that's already challenging enough, facing all of those other challenges on top of that as well. But we are very, very appreciative. It is, the only way I know to describe it, it's like a call to duty. When stuff like that happens, especially, in our state and those around us that help us when we need help, they really answer the call. And it's never if we're going to go, it's when and how many. And just to see the guys' attitude about that, it really reminds you of just how nice it is to belong to a cooperative family.
Well, ultimately, it's what they do. Ultimately, it is the end game of what they do is restore and power. And I just got a great text that our guys are headed home in the morning. So
Fantastic.
be glad to see them get back.
I mean, we train, we equip our employees for situations like this. Kevin, even to a much more degree than I, but it's such a relief when those guys finally come through that gate, and you know that they're back and they're safe and they're going to be back with their families that night, because that's what it's all about, getting back home.
That's right, absolutely. And I think it's pretty safe to say that we send out more crews than we have to bring crews into our area, correct?
Well, it just depends on it depends on the situation. Depends on some of the things that Kevin has to consider. But we will.
And we're not superstitious either to think that may have hurt us. But technically, historically, if you look at the nature of the weather around here, if we have something where we bring in mutual aid crews, typically worst case scenario, it's ice. But if it's a tornado, for example, the great thing about that is a tornado is more isolated, and we can get mutual aid typically from Batesville, Tupelo, maybe somebody in eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee. So it's a little bit easier to get them in, and you don't have such a housing concern as you have, with an event down there.
Well, this week I was at a conference and I spoke with Aaron Graham, and Aaron is with the statewide, and he's the one that manages that effort down there in Louisiana to get help in and everything. And he was actually supposed to be there for the entire conference, but naturally, because of what was going on, he couldn't be there. So he did come in on the last day. And the biggest reason that he wanted to come to that conference on the last day was to just step up there and just tell all the cooperative leaders and everything, hey, thank y'all so much. I mean, without y'all, where would we be? And you could tell Aaron was he was worn. I mean, he's probably been up for a long time and just trying to manage that whole effort. Our statewide here in Mississippi does the same thing, and
there's definitely a fatigue factor when you've got a storm, and of course that storm is sitting, appears to be right on top of us right now. Justin, I see it behind you.
Yeah,
it's just sitting down there in Louisiana. The rains continue to come, and the storms are, as we say, typically they're lining up in the Atlantic right now. So there's no guarantees when you get your good storm that you're not going to have another one a week or two later. And guys, we can talk about the people going down there and the effort, and that's really what matters, because at the end of the day, we're going to get the power back on. But here in a couple of months, when the bill's going to start coming in for some of these guys,
that's right.
And I've got to be honest with you, I don't see how they pay someone. When you're working on a thin margin, that's a not-for-profit. You got a certain payroll that you pay your employees every week or so, and then you have to quadruple that for storm restoration. It's hard to do.
Absolutely. Well, and that just gets right into, some of the other topics that we talked about at that national conference this week was just the amount of serious injuries that we're seeing. And, as a whole, across the nation, we're doing a good job with the reportable injuries. But when it comes to the most serious injuries that we have in our industry, we've still got some work to do, and we've really got to pay attention to that. We've really got to come together and find some solutions, figure out, what's going on, why are those being repeated, and we've got to stop that. So when you have the backdrop of all the hurricanes and all the crews working in those conditions, and then serious incidents are on the rise, it's definitely something that you think about. But it just is all the more reason why we love to celebrate safety here at North Central. And I really do appreciate that we got to celebrate safety here again with Safety Day, which for people that listen to us quite often know every year, Kevin allows us to come together and really just, for just a second, take a look at some of the things that we've accomplished, remind ourselves, because so many of us look forward all the time, just trying to get it done. But, for that day, it's okay just to look back just for a few minutes and take account of what we did. One of the things is not only did Justin develop a safety app for us, but if you look at how he manipulated our logo, and we branded.
It's on Kevin's shirt.
Yes, absolutely. And we branded the zero incidents, and then we combined that with really the effort from not just North Central Electric Cooperative, but also North Central Connect. Being on either, and it just really brings together that it's a total effort. got to get together and just celebrate some things that had been done. I think Kevin was able to hand out about 24 or 25 safety coins.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the most we've ever been able to hand out. And for those that are not familiar, when employees around here do good things, they're recognized with those safety coins. Kevin,
You have your coin?
I do.
Okay.
Got it right here in my pocket. I would be horrified if he ever asked me, did I have I take this thing everywhere at work, whether I'm off duty or whatever, because I can just
horrify anybody.
Well, the fact that you ask you see the safety guy out somewhere, hey, you got your coin? Oh, I'd die if I didn't have it. But we really like to acknowledge when employees get it right and when they're doing good things. So we nominate employees for those things, and Kevin always
just keeping that in mind. Some of the stories that you told at the safety day, whether it was an employee that was reporting something that they saw on the highway on a Sunday morning when they weren't on duty, or somebody that had an office accident, it's just
or maybe they reported something that they did.
Yeah.
That would said, I made a mistake here and want everybody to know about it.
And that's just, when things like that start happening, no, it's certainly not a perfect world, and it never will be. We can never achieve perfection. I do believe we can achieve excellence. And, so when people are reporting things on the weekend, on their off time, or they're telling things that they done, themselves, you can't help but just say, we're getting it. We're really getting it. So just glad that we could come together for Safety Day and celebrate that fact. Justin really want to give him just tell him how much I appreciate. He came up with an electronic safety app that we have. It's the first that I have seen anywhere. I'm not saying there's not one anywhere else, but certainly in the area around here, I've never seen another one. He really did a good job with that, and it's basically a product where employees can, on their iPhones or whatever device they have, just pull up our safety manual if they have a question, or anything like that, and it really works well. I think it's really going to take us into the future and allow us to add to it a lot easier. So a lot of good things around here, and Kevin, just, thank you again for the emphasis, that you put on safety, whether he is speaking in public, whether he is speaking internally with employees. More times than not, Kevin is going to start the meeting out talking about safety, and he's going to end that meeting talking about safety. Because as he says, we all have the right to go home, just like we showed up to work that morning. So, Kevin, thank you for continuing that effort, and greatly appreciate it.
Well, it's like I say, I'm happy to try to cultivate that environment that we have, that culture of safety. But as I try to stress, it's incumbent upon the employees to demand it.
Absolutely.
It's incumbent upon the employees and their family to demand it. And that's what drives me.
I'll tell you, that was reflected. One of the things that was most touching to me about Safety Day was that you had a junior lineman that called out a superior lineman, and it wasn't in a bad way, but just they weren't wearing the right PPE.
That's right.
And they brought that to their attention. And when you get a culture of safety, it runs that way to where we all hold each other accountable. And it's really apparent when we start recognizing and awarding folks who do that.
And finally, we got to celebrate Northcentral, continues its commitment to workforce development. We had several employees that achieved journeyman status. We had 3 to achieve journeyman lineman status. They completed a 4.5 5-year lineman program. We had 1 employee to complete a substation operators program, very intense program. And we were able to, as a group, congratulate them and celebrate, the accomplishments that they made. Had a couple of them that were out of town on storm damage,
right.
So we look very forward to when they come back being able to celebrate their accomplishments.
We learned this morning we got some customer service employees that are continuing their training and knocked out some supervisory type courses. So it's like we try to always stress around here, continuous improvement, and you just learn like you're going to work here forever, and seems to be
that's the
taking
career
off.
advice I give to the students that I sponsor. If you think you're done learning, quit.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're never done. So
Right. When you're done, you're actually done.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. Thanks for all that, and thanks for Safety Day and for the emphasis. Talking a little bit more about Co-op Month and about the annual meeting you alluded to. Folks, if you reference the Today in Mississippi magazine, which I got to say, both of the last two issues. They just make me hungry.
You see a giant steak on the cover of this one, right?
This is like my deer camp. We rarely eat deer meat at my deer camp. It's always steak. But no,
you had lobster tails recently, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
And it just highlights that perfect combo. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but to have a good steak and a few pieces of catfish fillet, man, you just can't beat it.
That's a great publication.
Statewide staff has really done a great job at
and
stepping
the
up
lunch
the
restaurants
magazines.
just opened. So.
But in this issue that you received last week, there was information on the annual meeting. So it tells you a little bit more about the Board of Director elections and the business that will go on at that annual meeting on October 27th. So make sure that you be attentive to the mailings that you get on that and come see us. We hope to be able to pull this off in person again.
Hope so.
I think that we may be able to. In addition, we are hopeful that we're going to be able to resume our youth tour, our youth leadership program that we have done for 34 years now, statewide. So we're in talks at how we're going to pull this off. And for those of you that don't know, that's our program that includes a 3-day workshop in Jackson, where all of our students convene to learn about leadership and electric cooperatives.
Friends for life.
That's right.
It's amazing to watch those kids bond.
Yep. And then we intend to take them to Washington, D.C. for a 7-day all-expenses-paid trip to our nation's capital to learn about rural electrification from a national perspective, and also get to see basically anything they want to see in D.C. in our nation's capital. So,
what an opportunity! I mean, that's incredible for that group to get an opportunity to do that. And
yeah,
I'm sad for the students who've missed out over the last couple of years, but we hope to resume that, and I will be getting in touch with counselors and principals to schedule recruitment efforts over the next couple of months for that. And lastly, talking about Northcentral Connect, we get comments through social media all the time about, when am I going to get connected? When am I going to get connected? The first thing we need to make sure you do is let us know you want to be connected. So be sure to go to northcentralconnect.com, register your address. As I've said many times before, we look at the demand on a map, and we make those decisions on where we're going to go next, oftentimes based on these clusters of people who have registered and told us they want the service. But we're currently building out in 2 phases. We hope to open up that 3rd phase in late fall, which will include a lot of those folks in eastern and southern parts of Byhalia and Marshall County. You might actually get a phone call. If we are building and constructing in your area and you have told us you have interest in the service, and we have not heard from you yet, we may reach out to you. And that's just in an effort for us to better plan our construction crews. If they're in the area and we move them to a different area, we don't want to have to double back because that makes us less efficient. So we have folks that are calling on Monday through Thursdays, those people who have told us they want service. So because you've done that, it's just an effort to better get you subscribed and connected to our services.
Yep.
So.
And there is no definite ETA. That's the biggest question we have: is when is it coming? It's when you get the call, you'll know.
But it's very intentional and within what we can do with our construction crews and supply chain.
Yep. So so in continuing from there, we've got what else going on in our community, or not, I guess in the cooperative, but. The side project that we have here, Musicians for Le Bonheur, is back up. We've got this. I sent the CD off for production yesterday.
All right.
So it will be released on 10/10. So
Okay.
I just figured that was a cool date.
It is a cool date.
But so we've got 41 artists.
Are we having a CD
contributing.
release party that day here?
We need to. We should try. I'm working with Le Bonheur because everybody in this room has visited Le Bonheur for these concerts that we perform in the lobbies and in the rooms, and we really want to get that back going. But right now, the hospital is still on lockdown, understandably. So we're working with them to try and figure out some time when they might be opening up, and it's coming. So we're hoping to get that back up. But we've got a great CD compilation put together. There's 40 artists on the CD and 40 artists on the Spotify version. But there was a conflict with one act, the Justice Brothers, if you've ever heard of them. They're a great instrumental jazz act, and it's Nico Liris over there at Cotton Row recording, and he's leading that band. But they said we could be on the CD, we can't be online. So okay, all right, fine. So we've got somebody to fill in for them on the Spotify part, but we've got the documentary concert La Bonnaroo 2 coming to Amazon Prime the same day. We've got you can follow Musicians for La Bonner on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, Pinterest, and TikTok.
So you don't have to look too hard.
No, you don't. Just look
may actually find you.
Yeah.
Well, there's some people that are finding us. I'm being 39 years old and on TikTok feels like a weird sentence to say, but I've been putting some of the promo videos on TikTok to see what kind of reactions they get, and it's getting some attention. So, and speaking of social media, follow us. It is Facebook, North Central Electric Cooperative, North Central Connect, North Central Connected. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat and TikTok now.
So we're easy to find as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's it. We will in a couple of weeks we will be doing a special cybersecurity podcast for Cooperative Month in October. It is Cooperative Month. It is Cybersecurity Month. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is Public Power Week. It is Fire Prevention Week.
It is the Great Shakeout.
Yes.
Where we look at our earthquake response plan.
Also, severe weather. I guess the
Preparedness.
fall severe
Yep.
weather preparedness.
And
What do we do
Farmers
the rest
Day.
of the year?
Yeah, everything happens in October. I know because I've got our social media calendar right in front of me. So we will have posts every day and sharing the great thing about cooperatives and our employees' support of breast cancer awareness and cybersecurity efforts, and introducing to you a few of our employees that help things run smoothly here at North Central Electric Cooperative. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you in October.
All right.
You know,